Humans like to think that we're pretty clever. We split atoms, we fly across the planet, or we even send robots to other worlds. And while a lot of those things are genuinely amazing, it's kind of a humbling truth that we often don't admit is that Mother Nature is still queen of design and ingenuity. For billions of years, evolution has quietly been refining designs through trial and error. That kind of research budget no human lab could ever match. And when we try to recreate these designs, we usually end up realizing along the way that the natural world, it didn't just get there first, but it also just did it better. So I decided to kind of look into some of these myself and pick out some of the weirder ones. Some even that I've heard since I was a child, but never really thought about. So here are 9 things that nature has already pretty much perfected and why we still can't really replicate them. You may have heard that spider silk is stronger than steel, and, well, that is no exaggeration. By weight, it can actually handle more stress before breaking than steel wire. But the real trick isn't just its strength per se, it's the toughness. The ability for the spider silk to stretch and absorb energy before snapping. A single strand can stretch up to 5 times its length without breaking. For some context, imagine a bridge made out of steel, say the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's stretching upwards 5 times its current size without breaking. That would be impossible with steel. The flexibility comes down to how it's built on a molecular level. After all, any chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and spider silk is made of protein chains arranged in 2 regions. These kind of crystalline nanostructures, they're like these tiny, rigid blocks that give it the strength that it has. And then these amorphous chains, the stretchy, disordered regions of chains that act kind of like shock absorbers on a car. Together, they create a material that's both flexible and incredibly strong. Something human materials usually have to sacrifice at least one for the other. When scientists try to make spider silk, I suppose, synthetically, the challenge, it's not even just the chemistry or the physics. That's pretty well understood. It's the precision. Spiders can control almost everything about the silk when it's created. They control the pH, they control the humidity, the tension at a molecular level as the spider silk leaves their body. We can't really mimic that on any scale useful to humans. Let alone the different types of spider silk that spiders can create depending on the function of web they're spinning. That's right, spiders can literally create silk for different purposes of different strengths on command. Nature did so much more than create a perfect fiber. It created an entire factory to make it. DNA doesn't just carry life's instructions, it's the most efficient way to store data in existence. Each molecule encodes information using one of 4 chemical bases. We typically refer to these as A, T, C, and G. These are arranged like a digital code, but the mind-blowing part is that 1 gram of DNA can theoretically store 215 million gigabytes of information. That's possible because of the molecular packs of data on an atomic scale. Using chemical bonds instead of magnetic or optical layers like our hard drives do. The information is stored in the chemical bond. It's also self-replicating and self-correcting. Enzymes are constantly scanning for errors and repair them. Our storage devices, they corrupt files and fail within a few decades. You'll lose data and it'll never be able to come back, but if anything corrupts on a DNA strand, it's able to repair itself. DNA even survives thousands of years, hundreds of millions of years, in some cases, in fossils and permafrost. We've tried copying it and storing data digitally in synthetic DNA, as crazy as that sounds, and it does work, but the process is painfully slow and super expensive. Nature writes and reads DNA trillions of times a day on such little energy. Really quick, if you could like and subscribe, it would help me out a ton. It's totally free for you, and it essentially pays me. It's free money that you could just hand out to me. So if you could just really quick like and subscribe, if you can leave a comment for the sake of engagement, that would be awesome. Thank you. In a similar vein to DNA, the human brain is phenomenally complicated. Even with today's AI, nothing actually compares to the human brain. It contains around 86 billion neurons connected by over 100 trillion synapses. It's a connection between neurons. Each neuron can fire up to hundreds of times per second, forming dynamic patterns of thought and creating memories and creativity, all things that we have not yet been able to replicate on AI or any kind of neural network. And all of this is running on about 20 watts of power. That's less energy than your phone charger gives your phone when you plug it into the wall. The reason it's so efficient lies really in how it computes. Unlike our binary processors, which work in linear operations, and by that it's like it'll add one equation together and then move to the next and then move to the next, our brain is massively parallel and kind of like a quantum computer. It processes sensory data, emotions, decisions, and all of inputs simultaneously. Unlike a rigid circuit board, it's plastic and it rewires itself constantly. Every time you learn something new, your brain actually physically changes shape. We've tried to copy that with neural networks, and while we have come a long way from the Will Smith spaghetti days, those are just crude digital imitations. Real neurons communicate using electromagnetic pulses, hormones, feedback loops, and encode nuance, uncertainty, and context. There's no algorithm that can fully capture that environment. The brain is so much more than just a computer. It's living, it's evolving. It's a conversation of cells, and that's why nature still leads in the intelligence per watt battle. Oh, and by the way, it's not it's electrochemical. I don't know, I think I said something else. It's electrochemical. Photosynthesis. We've spent a century trying to build efficient solar panels, and it's coming along really well. We are doing good on our solar panels, and they're producing a lot of energy, and sure, they could be a lot better, but we copied nature, right? Well, plants have been doing this for over 3 billion years. Photosynthesis works through a molecule called chlorophyll, which captures photons, tiny packets of light, and then channels that energy into a process splitting water and building sugar molecules. That's what the plant ends up using for energy. At its best, the light harvesting part of photosynthesis captures photons with near perfect efficiency. While solar panels that we make often produce more electricity, that's only because they're designed to. The plant doesn't care about creating electricity. What it wants to do is create sugar and therefore create energy. On top of that, when it comes to photosynthesis, there's no wasted heat, there's no wires, there's no pollution. And what's even more brilliant is that it self-regulates. If sunlight gets too intense, plants can quench the process temporarily to avoid damage. If it's dim, they can reroute energy flow into different parts of the plant to maximize their intake. We can't even make solar panels that clean themselves, let alone heal from light damage. And while our energy systems release carbon into the air, photosynthesis is part of the process that reduces that. Nature's solar panels, they don't just make energy, they kind of clean up the air while they're doing it. This one I thought was really interesting because I never really thought about flight, especially when it comes from birds. Birds, they don't need jet engines or autopiloting software or GPS. They just adjust air currents, pressure changes, and turbulence instantly, using only feathers and muscles. I mean, when was the last time you saw a bird need a full runway to take off? The reason birds are so efficient is their wings. Each feather can twist and flex individually, letting them fine-tune airflow. Their hollow bones keep them light without losing any strength, and their respiratory systems use air sacs that actually extract oxygen while exhaling. That's something humans can't do. Certainly jet engines, they lose their speed and efficiency at certain altitudes or at certain speeds, and turbines may be the opposite on a different altitude and a different speed. A bird's wings is constantly shifting under the surface, and it adapts in real time, controlled by micro adjustments from muscles responding faster than conscious thought. We can design supersonic jets, but nothing can glide across the continent on a sandwich worth of energy. Let that sink in. Nature mastered flight, and we're just kind of renting the idea. Some of nature's best engineering actually happens on the smaller scales. Shark skin, for example, it's not smooth. It's covered in these microscopic scales called dermal denticles, I think. Each one of these acts like a ribbed tooth, channeling water efficiently and preventing drag. At high speeds, these scales reduce turbulence by keeping the water flow tight against their body, lowering friction and far beyond what a smooth surface can do. They also create a natural antibacterial effect. Because of the texture, the bacteria can't actually latch on to the shark, making the shark skin kind of like permanently clean. We've tried copying this for swimsuits, ships, and hospital walls, and while some designs actually work well, there's just no match for the precision or adaptability of the real deal. A shark, it doesn't just glide faster, it glides like cleaner through the water. As something that millions of years of micro-optimizations that no computer can simulate fully. Ants are pretty much one of those things that you hate to see in your kitchen, but you love to watch and read and learn about them otherwise. An ant colony, they don't have a leader. There's no central control and no meetings, yet somehow they always seem to operate like a living computer. The secret is, I knew how to pronounce this at one point. I think it's stigmergy? Sure. A kind of indirect communication. Each ant leaves a chemical trail, and other ants respond based on those cues. When enough of them reinforce a particular path or a particular decision, it becomes the colony's decision. It's a decentralized system of feedback loops. The same concept behind blockchain or internet routing or swarm robotics. Each time you use a GPS app, that reroutes traffic. A delivery system that optimizes routes, or anything like that, you're using the same logic that came from ants. The crazy part is that they do it with the brains, they're the size of a grain of sand. Evolution didn't give them intelligence, it just gave them rules. But when those rules are simple enough and they interact properly, the rules almost kind of create intelligence. Intelligence seems to emerge out of it. That's how colonies of ants are able to make relatively complicated decisions or make really complicated moving operations without ever talking or anything like that. They just slowly reinforce the other person's decision, the other ant's decision, and over time, the entire colony will agree that, yeah, that's the thing to do. Not all colors are pigments. When you look at, say, butterfly wings, you're not actually seeing color in the normal sense. You're seeing structure. Each wing is covered in microscopic ridges that manipulate light waves, bending and scattering them to create shimmering colors. This phenomenon is called structural coloration. It produces hues that never fade because they aren't chemical, they're physical. This is also why some butterflies may have different colors or different patterns depending on the angle that you're looking at them. It's because the structures are designed differently for different angles. This is a remarkably complicated thing for something like a butterfly to do. We've even tried to reproduce this for screens or fabrics or even car paint, and it's possible, but only in highly controlled labs and at relatively large cost. Butterflies, they do it by the millions, effortlessly, by eating leaves and then sleeping for a long time. And then at the end of the day, everything's biodegradable anyways. It's really quite remarkable. It's colored by design, not by color dye. And it's a reminder that nature's paints, they're using more than just chemistry, they're using physics. As if enough of these remarkable things weren't from the human body, this one's a little bit more, inclusive to the animal kingdom. Bones. Bone is one of the most advanced materials on Earth. It's made of a combination of collagen, flexible protein, and hydroxyapatite. It's a mineral. It's a mineral crystal. Together, they form this composite that's both strong, slightly elastic where it needs to be. It's more like reinforced concrete than it is like a rock or like a muscle. But what makes bone truly remarkable is that it is actually like alive. When it's stressed or fractured, specialized cells called osteoblasts and osteoclasts remodel the bone. They will go in, heal, and adjust the bone's direction so that the forces going through the bone remain consistent. It's constantly adapting to use, growing thicker in athletes and thinner in zero gravity, and repairing itself without welding or glue. We've created materials stronger, lighter, or tougher, but none of them are capable of healing themselves and adjusting the way that just bones are. Nature doesn't just build strong materials, it learns how to have them self-repair from damage. Nature as a whole, it doesn't patent its inventions or run experiments in labs. It runs them in the open across billions of years. And the results, they're elegant. They're super efficient, and in so many ways they're sustainable. In ways that we can only imitate. Which is why we do, and why we should. I mean, nature's done a lot of the hard work for us. A lot of the brain damage in terms of figuring out the engineering or chemical inventions is already done. We just need to look and pay attention to that. So the next time you see a spider web or a bird in flight or a coral reef, remember that it's more than just nature at work, it's engineering, perfected by time. Again, if you could subscribe, leave a like and a comment, maybe tell me which one of these you would want to see a more in-depth video on. That would be really cool. Every subscription and every like is super helpful to me. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys around.